A powerful explosion tore through 2 stories of an apartment building in Bucharest, Romania on Friday, killing 3 people and injuring at least 13 others, authorities said. According to Associated Press Raed Arafat, State Secretary at the Romanian Ministry of Internal Affairs, described the explosion as serious. The explosion affected the 5th and 6th floors of an 8-story building, according to the capital's Inspectorate for Emergency Situations. More than a dozen emergency vehicles, including 11 fire engines and 4 mobile intensive care units, were dispatched to the scene of the blast on Calea Rahovei in Bucharest Sector 5. The cause of the fatal blast was not immediately clear, but authorities said the gas supply had been shut off in the area as a safety precaution. All residents were evacuated from the building and rescuers carried out search operations to identify anyone trapped. Arafat told reporters that there was a high risk the building would collapse. He added that access to the block had been restricted. Video footage shared by emergency authorities showed the facades of corner apartments on 2 stories badly mangled by the blast, which appeared to have also blown out windows in neighboring apartments. Rubble was strewn across the street below.
Forțele de ordine sunt puse deja în dispozitiv. Planul roșu este activat.
Gata, n-aveți voie să intrați aici. Aici rămânem. Mergeți?
După cum cunoașteți, a fost o explozie serioasă care a afectat o parte din bloc, blocul fiind în U, legat între el, și una din fațade a fost afectată semnificativ. Acum este în desfășurare o operațiune de căutare să nu fie cineva sub dărâmăturile din etaje, și care este o operațiune foarte riscantă, având în vedere că cei de la ISC care au venit aici, de la Institutul de Stat în Construcții, și deja au dat primul verdict că blocul este cu risc de colaps, motiv pentru care este evacuat total de pompieri. Zona din jur a fost evacuată sau a fost limitat accesul pe strada respectivă și oamenii ies din blocurile celelalte pe ușile alternative din spatele blocurilor, iar zona va rămâne închisă până să ia decizia finală. Nu se poate intra în bloc, nu se va putea intra să se recupereze materiale sau acte sau documente la acest moment, fiind considerat foarte periculos. Doar operațiunea de căutare continuă în blocul respectiv.
Kazakhstani customs have tightened inspections of cargo arriving from China bound for Russia and Belarus, seeking to detect goods subject to Western sanctions. For Russian and Belarusian logistics companies, this has resulted in a collapse, increased tariffs and forced revision of supply routes. According to the Russian portal lenta.ru, kilometers-long queues of over 2,500 trucks traveling from China have formed at the Kazakhstan-Russia border. Shipments of electronics, drones, clothing and Western brands have been particularly targeted. Representatives of logistics companies report that the situation has worsened since the beginning of October, with borders turning into massive traffic jams. Mass inspections have forced carriers to raise rates and change logistics. Now, questionable cargo is shipped via the Far East and Mongolia. although these routes are longer and more expensive. However, queues are possible there, forcing carriers to seek any alternative. Logistics companies are confident that this is not a temporary glitch, but a new reality, and predict a further tightening of the screws by Kazakhstan, which is beginning to more strictly enforce Western countries' restrictions against Russia. The tightening of inspections coincided with a series of talks between Kazakh President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev and US President Donald Trump. On September the 7th, Tokayev stated that he was ready to constructively discuss trade issues and hoped for the abolition of the 25% US tariff on Kazakh goods. Earlier, Kazakhstan's Deputy Prime Minister Surik Zumangarin emphasized that the country would not assist in circumventing anti-Russian sanctions, as this could have a painful impact on its own economy. Experts estimate that if the situation persists, the cost and delivery time of Chinese goods to Russia could increase significantly. Carriers predict that some flows will shift to sea and rail routes, placing additional strain on Far Eastern ports. Media previously reported that in September, information emerged about Europe's readiness to consider imposing sanctions against Kazakhstan for re-exporting prohibited products to Russia. The European Union is considering imposing sanctions against Kazakhstan for the first time for re-exporting banned products to Russia. According to Bloomberg, the new package of restrictions could include companies from Kazakhstan, China, and other countries that help circumvent Western bans and supply the Russian military-industrial complex. Kazakhstan, which has built a business on reselling goods in defiance of sanctions, risks being targeted. If the EU takes action, it will ban the supply of machinery and equipment to the country, which is then shipped en masse to Russia for weapons production. This would be a real blow to Kazakhstan's economy. An attempt to profit from Moscow's weakness is proving catastrophic. Experts note that President Tokayev values his international reputation highly. The impact of sanctions, if they occur, will be painful for him personally. The introduction of secondary sanctions is being discussed with Washington. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has explicitly stated that pressure on Russia needs to be increased, but this requires European support. According to Bloomberg, the sanctions list could also include banks and oil companies, restrict the export of chemicals and dual-use goods, and punish Chinese companies assisting Moscow. The package could complement measures against Russia's shadow fleet vessels and ban reinsurance for tankers transporting Russian oil.